Hi guys, welcome to Floral Friday. I'm Jenny Martin, ethnobotanist, and today I really want to look at this plant with you. So there's a lot to look at and a lot to share about ivy. So ivy is in the family Araliaceae, and Araliaceae, for those who are interested, also is related to ginseng, which is a very important Chinese medicine for those of you who practice Chinese medicine. For a lot of people, they have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, and that's because people think that it actually strangles the trees. But it doesn't actually strangle the trees. What it actually does is it uses the tree to climb up, to have perches to get to the light, and also just to anchor it. So it doesn't take any nutrition from the trees. What it can do is it can actually, though, grow so abundantly on the tree, and the stems can become so very thick and heavy that can be a bit of a challenge for its host tree. And also, if it is hugely abundant, then what it can do is it can actually stop the leaves of that particular tree from photosynthesizing. So it can be challenging for trees, but generally, in the amount that you see it, like on this one, it's not doing anything other than just using it to purchase as it goes up the tree. So you will see in certain woodlands people cutting the stem of an ivy to just stop it growing. And of course we see it growing on the ground as well before it starts climbing up a tree. Something to notice, which is quite interesting, is if you look at the leaves, when they're not flowering, they are either they're 3 times lobed, like these here, or sometimes 5 times lobed. So what does that mean? Well, you can see here 1, 2, 3, and I can't see any that are 5 times lobed on this particular species. Oh, we're getting there with this one. Can you see? So 5 times lobed. So this is also palmately lobed, which means that all the veins are coming off from a central stem. Now when you're looking at the part of the ivy that is fruiting, so it's producing flowers or berries, you'll see that it actually is not lobed at all. It's ovate, or I think it's elliptic or elliptical. So ovate means that the central part of the leaf is where it's widest, and it's about 2 times as long as wide. And elliptic means that the central part of the leaf is still the widest, but it's 3 times as long as it's wide. It's a really important tree for a variety of animal species and insects. What caught my eye to this a couple of weeks ago was I had some ivy outside my house, and it was flowering. And again, I thought, oh gosh, I hadn't really noticed that it actually is one of our last flowering plants in the UK. So it's a really important food source for some of our invertebrates, and it has actually a particular bee that is only associated with that. I think it does feed on some other plants, but particularly just on ivy. So it's a bit too late for you to notice that, but keep an eye on it for next year. So many birds nest in ivy. The flowers tend to come out and die away in just 3 days. So it's a really big frenzy of feeding when they do come out. The parts of the flower are in 5, so you get 5 petals and 5 sepals, which are very tiny, and 5 stamens. And then obviously once it's been pollinated and the ovaries have been pollinated, the fruit of the ivy is a really important food source for birds. In fact, the RSPB did some research and found that the calorific value of the berries of ivy was only just a tad short of what is the equivalent of a Mars bar for us. So a really important food source for birds. The other reason why they're a good food source is because they're often around early in spring, so they're an immediate source of nutrition if you've got young birds hatching in spring. So, from an ethnobotanical point of view, again, really interesting, ivy is used as a cough medicine, and allopathic medicine, Western medicine, have actually done some research on it and found that indeed does have some properties that are good for coughs. Some of the folklore around it is that it's been used for corns, and there's actually quite a lot of written evidence in different parts of particularly Ireland where people used ivy to put on corns on feet. And of course for Christmas, why do people put ivy around their houses at Christmas? Well, there's several things. Some people allegedly believed a long time ago that the shiny part of the leaf kept evil spirits away, and also that there is the ivy plant is associated with the Greek god Dionysus. So Dionysus is the god of intoxication and wine and theatre, and from the literature in Greece where the vines grew, so did ivy grow, so that's where the association comes. So you'll see Dionysus often depicted with an ivy crown or an ivy staff. And that's why there is a phrase, I can't remember what it is, that's something like, where ivy grows there is wine. And traditionally in the UK, in England, people would have ivy growing outside alehouses as a symbol of there being good wine there. So how did that translate though over into Christmas? Well, the journey, I suppose, from the Greek god through to pagan rituals was, again, the observation, from what I've read, is the observation of that ivy binds. So priests in Greece and in more earth-based Druidic cultures would use ivy in wedding ceremonies as a symbol of fertility, as a symbol of bringing two people together and binding them together. So again, for Christmas, when we had our traditional Christmas boughs before we had Christmas trees, ivy would have been used as well to bind. So it's an opportunity when you're celebrating Christmas or solstice or whatever you celebrate in midwinter to, if you get yourself some ivy, you can use it as a symbol of what do you want to be bound to, or to celebrate who or what you are bound to. So enjoy your ivy. I will be blogging again a little bit later about holly, so just being a bit festive. And yeah, hopefully when you get out, when you look at the berries, you'll be thinking, wow, good feeder for birds, good habitat. And notice if the leaves on the part of the plant at this time of year that have berries on, you'll notice that they're very different to these types of leaves. Okay, see you soon.